We're really excited to welcome you to the 2014 Business Plan Competition. And my name is Anita Kibunguchi. I'm a first-year MBA student here at MIT Sloan, and I'm really excited to have such a big crowd here. So let's get started. So this is our agenda for today. First, we will meet our judges. And then next, we will go right straight into the pitches. After that, we'll get an update from Lavgrain. These are our last year's business competition winners, and they'll let us know what they've been up to for the past year. And then, of course, after that, we'll let the judges to leave to go ahead and deliberate. And then finally, we'll have you, the audience, vote for your audience favorite. So who are our judges? We're really excited to have these three distinguished folks here with us today. We have Julius, Jan, and Christina. So of course, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. So of course, Julius is one of us, and he's the resident entrepreneur here at MIT Media Lab. And he's also a co-founder of Workshop 17 Innovation Hub at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business. And then, of course, Jan, who currently works at Catalyst for CTIC Dakar. And he's co-funded several projects in the US, and he's passionate about technology and social entrepreneurship. And of course, finally, Christina, who's an investment analyst at Investment Development, and she holds an MBA from the University of Massachusetts, Boston. Thank you guys for being here. So here are the rules for the competition. Each team will get 2.5 minutes to pitch, and then after that, they'll get 1.5 minutes of Q&A from the judges. And then this is where I'll need your help, because of course we have to make sure that we're keeping time, right? So at every time cup, I would like you guys to start clapping. I know most of you have smartphones. Who would like to be a timekeeper today? There you go, Obi. Thanks, Obi. So he'll keep us straight. And then, of course, results will be announced between 5:35 and 5:50, so pretty much later today. First prize winners is $3,000. Second is $1,000, and our audience favorite is $500. So who is ready to get this party started? Not literally, but you know. So let's welcome Team Kele, who will get us started.
All right. Thank you, Anita. And where's Obi? Sorry, I'm waiting for our timer to re-enter the room. Good. Okay. I'll get going, Obi. So I want to introduce you to my friend, Maina. Maina is a Kenyan man that lives in Nairobi and whose family live outside of the city. He travels every weekend to go and see them. Unfortunately, Maina had a car accident on the way back this last weekend. He was injured and unconscious in his car and unable to call for help. Now, because the accident happened at night, he was unable to get help until the morning. Now, the sad thing is that Maina is not alone. 12,900 people die every single year in traffic-related accidents in Kenya, for many times because only less than 10% of seriously injured drivers in car accidents ever get help from an ambulance. Even when they do get help from that ambulance, it takes more than 90 minutes for that ambulance to arrive. So what are Maina's options? He can hope that his cell phone works and that he's able to use it. He can hope that his family innately know where he is and that he's in trouble. And he can hope that bystanders are good Samaritans. At Kele, we're trying to find a better solution. So what are we trying to do? Kele is building an ecosystem that will allow us to detect when an accident happens, tell us where the accident happened, send that information to your loved ones so they're then able to come and provide you with help. So what we have here is an in-car device, a mobile app, and a web dashboard that allows you to essentially manage this by yourself. And how are we going to get this product to Maina? So what we're going to do is partner with local insurance companies that really see the benefit in reducing life and medical insurance payouts. so they can subsidize the cost to miner. And for us, we immediately get access to large, rapidly scalable markets. Even better, we see strong network effects that come from doing this, because the success stories that will come from this and the testimonials that will come from this will allow other insurance companies to really see the benefit of piloting a project like this. We have 4 key criteria to drive our Pan-African growth strategy. The first, weak emergency response services, low road quality, weak road safety legislation, and reliable cell phone coverage. Now, it's interesting that we thought that we wouldn't find many countries that had these problems. We found that several countries across Africa face exactly this kind of situation. What have we already done? We already have an Android app in development. We're prototyping the physical device. We have the web dashboard actually ready. So what we need to do now is finish prototyping. We want to be testing this device. We want to get it in cars so we can save lives today. Kele.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're going to sell to the insurance companies?
Sure. So this is something that we've really worked on. We wanted to get this in as many hands as possible, and in as many drivers' hands as possible. So prior to coming here, I worked with quite a few insurance companies in my old job. And so those relationships are already in place, and we've essentially been bouncing the idea around with them because of the potential that we see in it. We've already got 2 or 3 mid-tier players that are trying to find ways to separate themselves from the pack. There are 49 insurance companies in Kenya, and in that case, they need to find a way to separate.
Also, obviously, you need interconnected technology systems.
Yes.
So have you thought about that, and have you looked at the affordable cost of all of that?
Yes. So that was actually one of the key challenges that we've really kind of spent some time trying to understand. What we're looking at here is a device that's going to cost less than $100 to the final consumer. So the insurance company has a lifetime value that they put into their clients. And really, the reduction in medical and life insurance payouts will be far greater than that number. So we see enough margin to do that in a way that's both socially responsible but also accretive to us.
No, thank you. Great pitch. What do you do, if there is no emergency services available to save you after that?
Sure. And so it's funny, I spoke about Mina, but I've been in the same situation myself, where I was in a car accident and I was stuck in the car for more than an hour because essentially we were unable to make the call. But typically what happens is that people reach out to their loved ones.
Okay, next we'll have Disease Diagnostic Group, John. Let's give him a hand of applause.
Thank you. What if I told you I could save 1 million lives every year, just refrigerator magnets and a laser pointer? 3.3 billion people are exposed to malaria each day. But it all starts with one child. That child has an asymptomatic infection and goes to sleep, thinking he's healthy. But the infection escalated overnight, and he died the next day. What's even worse is he was bit up to 3,000 times by mosquitoes and spread the infection to his entire village. And that's why malaria is a $12 billion problem. It's because half the people who have it don't even know about it, don't get diagnosed, and don't get treated. And for a completely curable disease, that's a serious problem. But malaria parasites release a magnetic biomarker, and we can manipulate those to block the amount of light transmission through the sample. We can do it over and over again, creating a reusable mechanical device that offers a handheld quantitative diagnosis for 1 minute with 1 drop of blood from a fingertip. Because we know that RDTs and microscopy need refrigeration and clinical expertise, our RAM device can do this for 1/10 the cost and 100 times the detection level as those current competitors. The market for malaria diagnostics is characterized by big nonprofit foundations like the Global Fund and the World Bank, sinking in about $1.5 billion for 1 billion tests every year. They'll connect with DDG and distribute the RAM device to end users such as health workers who have set distribution channels across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. Because we can actually go to the person instead of relying on the patient to come to the clinic, we can do this for extremely low cost and low detection level. Our current customers are the U.S. Naval Base in Peru and Bosch India in India. They've actually purchased $25,000 worth of devices and are interested in an exclusive distribution partnership for all of India, a huge market. Our go-to-market strategy is essentially leveraging the fact that we're the only test that can diagnose that asymptomatic infection, which makes us a perfect candidate for the elimination setting market. The countries on the outskirts of endemic regions, and that market is currently void and worth $50 million. We also want to leverage our distinct connections with potentially United, who have been advertised in the malaria diagnostic market landscape, and will be continuing to utilize those unique connections with national malaria control programs. We have assembled the management team across MIT, Harvard Business School, and Case Western Reserve University to line up letters of interest for 10 million units as early as next year across 9 organizations, some of which are interested in as many as 30 million consumables in 2016 if things continue to go well. And so that's exactly what we want the money for, to be able to convert those letters of interest into full purchase orders with 100 manufactured devices that can then be scaled. And looking at our financial projections, you realize that we're not just a social venture, we're a financially profitable one too, with the potential of impacting 175 million people by 2017, and with 90% profit margins, making money while doing it. I'd love to answer any questions you guys might have. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I didn't pay enough attention, but thank you very much. But my question was, how do you reach your final customer, and who is it? Who do you sell to?
Sure. The customer is the large nonprofit foundations, like the Global Fund. They are the ones that actually buy the test. National Malaria Control Programs, or NGOs, they actually are the ones who submit grants to those organizations and then distribute through set distribution channels. But also because we are a mechanical test, we can go through unique distribution channels like bed nets or other treatment in the form of tablets that other tests can't do because they require that cold chain.
What in-market testing have you done on the device to prove that it works?
So we've done certainly in-lab tests where we've achieved 97% sensitivity across a set of patient samples from Papua New Guinea. We've also been doing those clinical tests in Peru and India. We're about 500 patients into a 5,000-person patient study, and so far it's been continually getting good sensitivity results.
Based on your test that you just mentioned, relatively compared to available solutions that are competing with you, how do you rate your capability for earlier detection compared to the other ones?
Sure. RDTs usually can detect down to 200 parasites per microliter. That means, in layman's terms, essentially you're already symptomatic and already moving towards a serious infection. We can do much lower.
Thank you so much, John. So we were waiting for one team here. Is this Nivani? Awesome. So Stereo.me. Let's give him a round of applause.
Are we good on the time? Good afternoon. Stereo.me has developed a learning process called Learning Out Loud, which reinforces learning outside the classroom by delivering an SMS-triggered voice lesson to any type of phone, regardless of their internet or smartphone capabilities. We have just been named one of Fast Company's 10 most innovative companies in Africa for removing the infrastructure barriers in education. And here's how it works. Teachers give students an SMS code based on the lesson of the day. The students go home and SMS this code to our number, and they get a free voice call back delivering a pre-recorded interactive lesson, which is linked to the national curriculum. Teachers can obtain these stereos from a central marketplace, or they can generate their own content. We know that education is still a major problem in Africa, especially with regards to accessibility and quality. Current solutions are not addressing these issues sufficiently. In addition, teachers lack time because they have to mark homework, as well as overcrowded classrooms stretching their resources. We believe that Stereo.me provides a solution for this. We automate the homework process to save teachers time. In addition, teachers can track learner progress on our platform, which means they gain insights into learner development. We have also identified 3 key partners that we need to make this vision a reality. The first is telcos. We need telcos to help us make the delivery of these stereos economically viable. The second is local and national ministries of education. And the third is teacher unions, both to ensure maximum adoption rates. We have a strong founding team. Chris, the CEO, is a co-founder of Startup Bus Africa. He was formerly the president of Oxford Entrepreneurs, and he's a World Economic Forum Global Shaper. Danielle and Dean have extensive experience in audio technology and are serial entrepreneurs. We also have a strong board of advisors with extensive experience in technology and education in Africa. In terms of traction, we have confirmed pilots in both Lesotho and Nigeria, with telcos signed up for both. In terms of our business model, revenue will be generated through our value-added messaging model, and we are busy signing up UN Habitat as our first customer. Alternative revenue streams include the adult education market, as well as exam preparation and premium content generated for private schools and government contracts. We are Stereo.me, and our mission is to make education in Africa more accessible and better quality for learners outside the classroom. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So apparently you want the telco to pay for the cost of providing the course. What is your incentive? What is the incentive that you present to them?
So there's a mix of that. We either try and get them through their corporate social responsibility or foundations. We have signed up a telco foundation, which I cannot reveal the name of right now, but that's one angle we're using. The other one is to partner with them on the value-added messaging so that we can share revenues from the advertisers we're getting. So either one that we can try to do.
How are you going to get schools and teachers on board to start using this in their curriculums?
So currently we have partnered with some ministers of education who've offered up schools in Lesotho. The Minister of Education in Lesotho has promised us the pilot for 70 schools there. In addition, we've partnered with the Higher Life Education Ministries in Zimbabwe who's doing that. And furthermore, the longer term strategy is to partner with teacher unions as well, because they can drive the adoption rates from the teachers up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Innovagen.
Good afternoon. My name is Adeyemi Adepetu. Innovagen is a waste-to-energy system targeted to a rural-urban setting. And we think the problem is that we have rapid urbanization in most emerging markets, which is translating into a pressure on housing demand. This housing demand is also putting pressure on poor power systems, infrastructure, and waste management infrastructure. In that regard, people now rely a lot on generator sets, where they rely on fossil energy technology. What does this translate to in actual dollars spent? Our analysis in 2010, there's almost $70 million spent in just falling generators per month on average. So our solution is to actually take the waste management issue and turn it into an energy solution. And I thought there have been solutions out there trying to do waste to energy systems. But a lot of them are either focused on the small scale where it's very labor intensive, or the large scale where the energy produced is actually very far away from the people that actually need it. So our solution is to provide a community scale solution where people can bring their waste and we can turn it into energy for the system. And our strategy is to actually focus on estate managers and estate developers, where we can leverage their existing customer base, leverage their electrical supply infrastructure, and then manage their waste for them. And what we've done so far is we've actually established a pilot partner in Nigeria that has up to 210 apartments in an estate. And we're starting out in the first phase, actually working with 7 apartments and then scaling up from there in the next year or so. The team consists of myself, Adetayo Bamiduro, and Ellen Chen, both MIT students as well. And in summary, we think biomass fuel technology is a key fuel solution for alternative energy solutions. And we are actually pioneering waste energy on a on an urban scale residential systems. And we're looking for partners and advisors to actually help us bring this to market. And I'll take your questions now. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Quick question. When you look at an energy distribution at that scale, obviously there are some government regulations. Have you guys thought about that? And if you have, what are the consequences?
So that's interesting because what we found out is for most emerging markets, there's no regulation below 1 megawatt. So that actually gives us an entry point to go in there and provide energy solutions below that level.
How much work have you done in terms of setting up the actual systems to turn the waste into energy? I'm sure your potential customers will want to see some proof of.
Exactly. So we haven't actually built the systems yet, but we're leveraging some research that actually shows you can actually take shipping containers and manufacture them locally and turn them into biodigester systems. And we're working to actually build those test beds before we actually go into the pilot.
And thank you. What is the largest risk that you are facing?
It's the waste feedstock. So we're looking into partnership with people that actually collect the waste. So if what we generate on site is not enough, we can actually bring it in as processed pellets for waste.
And then what's the business model behind this? What sort of agreement are you signing with the developer?
So for them, the waste collection and energy production is not actually their main business. They do that to make their, the residents more attractive the residences more attractive. So they actually don't want to be supporting that waste collection or energy production. So they were excited when we said we could actually provide those services for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have John with Upstream Analytics.
Hi, so I'm John Gossier, representing a company called Upstream Analytics. What Upstream does is it solves a problem for companies that have multinational supply chains, particularly in the Great Lakes region of Africa. So companies that source minerals, oil, gas, but also goods that they have to move through the region. What we like to say we do is we provide real-time, on-the-ground insight that helps them identify, assess, and mitigate compliance risks faster and better than anyone else. If you think about the regulatory environment these companies operate in, so usually companies, we're talking about US companies that source goods from this part of the world, the regulatory environment has increased dramatically in the past 4 years. It's actually skyrocketed. What that means for them is they're faced with high fines, and that curbs their business in the region. Companies like Walmart, Hershey's, Gap, these are the types of companies we're talking about. The value that they face in losses is upwards of $20 million in the forms of lawsuits, regulatory action, so fines, and then ultimately the brand reputation. If you think about Apple and Foxconn a few years ago, their stock took a dip that was worth billions based on non-compliance in Asia. We're trying to solve that problem in Africa. What does that look like for the company? Here, it's essentially we're reducing the amount of legal hours it takes them to comply with these laws by automating it. And what the solution looks like, you can see here. So at multiple multiple areas of their supply chain, we provide visibility as to what's going on. So the truckers on the ground are protected because they can share what their experience is more. Citizens can participate in this process, and then ultimately the C-suite can make better decisions. And you can see our product down there in the corner. So if you think about where we sit in the market, I like to say we're in between real-time locational awareness, applications like Waze and Foursquare, crowdsourcing, represented by things like Mechanical Turk and Ushahidi, and data and visualization, represented by areas like Chartbeat and Google Analytics. That's a revenue forecast. I'll skip that. We've got a great team. Uh, I can go back if you want, but we've got a great team. Myself, Elliot, who actually consults the types of companies that we're talking about, so it's a problem he knows intimately, and Michelle, who's Congolese, who's experienced the problem from the other side. We're Upstream Analytics. Thank you very much.
So can you tell me a little bit more about your sales cycle and your sales pitch? It seems like it's a really sort of niche market who has to deal with these regulations, these new regulations. So tell me about how you're going to rope them in.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the regulatory environment is increasing. There's actually a hard deadline that these companies face at the end of this year to do something about it. Now, the law doesn't stipulate what they have to do. It says that they have to make a concerted effort to do something to mitigate their violations in this part of the world. By implementing our solution, that's suitable to mitigate that the risk of being hit with fines and ultimately these other bad things. And so essentially we sell our value prop is helping them to come up with a solution to this regulatory issue.
Thanks, John. Do you want to scale to other countries, and what's the process you want to build for that?
Sure. So our solution can work anywhere. Our focus is Africa because it's particularly the Great Lakes region because it's so untouched. And the real problem is there's a lack of real-time information because these are what are known as difficult countries to work in, whether it's due to violence or the political situation in those countries. And so these companies can't put people on the ground to kind of monitor. And so between our solutions, which uses GPS, it uses crowdsourcing, it uses market data, they have a solution that's real time. It can be scaled anywhere, but our go-to-market is essentially to start in Africa.
Right. Very, very quickly.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Tony with Save and Buy.
Give me a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I'm Tony Oshibodu, and I'm one of the founders of Save and Buy. Looking forward to telling you about our company, but first, I'd like to show you a situation in which a young man wants to buy a really expensive item, let's say a plasma TV, but it's difficult to save up for it. Things keep getting in the way and life is very hectic. And that's exactly where Save and Buy comes in. We're a targeted savings solution. So first, you choose a product that you want. Second, you select a personalized savings plan. Third, you complete that savings plan and buy the product. And finally, the product is delivered to your doorstep. The very cool thing about our platform is that you're able to invite friends and family to help save towards that product. And you can also save up for personal items like holidays and weddings. And this is the team that's doing it. Myself, one of the co-founders, and also Hugo Obi, who's based in Lagos and is a serial entrepreneur. I have a background in finance and I'm currently studying for an MBA. We're really proud of a few things so far, such as achieving the Microsoft for Innovation grant, securing Konga and Jumia as retail partners, two very prominent retailers in Nigeria, and Stanbic IBTC is our partner bank. They provide the savings infrastructure. This is one of our beta customers, and he said that the scheme is a good way of planning one's finances. It's a really flexible way for him to top off his savings at any time and a means of committing excess cash. So there is a real need here, and this is a need that's felt all over Nigeria. Low incomes, seeking very high cost items, nearly no consumer credit, and on the retailer side, there's a prevalence of offline savings, and it's difficult to connect those savings to the products, as well as low conversion rates. People have seen this opportunity, and so far, retailing in Nigeria is estimated at $34 million, and we can capture a lot more growth, and this is set to rise. Other banks and retailers have seen this opportunity and come out with products that are aligned with capturing this new market. The business model is very simple. We receive affiliate fees from retailers as a percentage of the cost of the item, and the only cost associated with that on our side is the cost of moving money about. Based on certain metrics and our value and our forecasts, we expect to break even in 12 months. There are millions of Nigerians waiting for a product just like Save and Buy. Winning today would help us to fund our launch to the rest of Nigeria in the next month and develop the second version of our product. So I hope that you'll join us and help us empower Nigerians with the prosperity they deserve.
So how exactly are the users depositing the money into the bank accounts? Is it via mobile money or do they have to go in person?
We have a few ways. So you can go in person to a bank and there's a code that you're given and you can just deposit the money that way. You can pay online using your Visa or debit, standing order, money order. There are agents as well that you can go to. Mobile money isn't something that we've put into place yet. Yes, definitely. And we're actually building out the mobile version of the product.
Thanks a lot. I didn't really get the relation that you have with e-commerce website. Are you competitors, partners?
Think of it like this. You know, with hotel companies, they don't always want to show the really cheapest rooms on their website, so they use other places like Booking.com. So we're kind of we're like the Booking.com for the retailers. They know they have customers who can't afford it right now, and they don't want to encourage people to lengthen the time it takes for them to buy the product. So they use our platform to aggregate all those customers and get them to us. What they're actually doing is that they're sending us the emails of people who've abandoned baskets, and so we go back to them and say, hey, you can't afford it right now, but we can help you afford it.
Is there any penalty for the user to withdraw from their savings account? And then answer that.
Sure. If you withdraw and put the money to another product with the same merchant, there is no associated cost. If you move to another merchant, there is a cost. Or if you pull it out completely, there's an even bigger cost.
Do they earn interest on their savings?
No, so the interest will go to the bank. So that's actually what encouraged Stanbic to become our partner. We do eventually want to get more partners on board and try and share the interest as well.
Thank you, Tony. Next up, we have Evaptainers. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to start off with a shocking statistic. 35 to 45% of produce throughout Africa is lost in the post-harvest. And throughout Africa, that actually represents about $4 billion annually. So there's pretty wide agreement as to why this happens. Africa Development Bank says cold chain facilities were identified as one of the major challenges affecting horticulture in Africa. UNDP, Grow Africa, USAID all say the same thing. It's cold chain facilities, cold storage, the need to keep fresh produce cool. So why don't we have a cold chain throughout more places in Africa? Simple reason is lack of accessibility. If you see right there, the reefer container, cold storage warehouse, that refrigerator, these are all very expensive. For example, reefer containers cost $40,000 to $50,000, and that's just for the trailer alone. The other reason is the need for electricity. All these run on electricity, and if you think about rural, remote areas, electricity can be very scarce or very intermittent. So imagine, with me for a second, an incredibly low-cost refrigerator that doesn't require any electricity to use. Think about how useful this might be to a remote farmer that has 35 to 45% spoilage. Well, the good news is it's a lot simpler than it sounds, and this is actually what we're working to develop right now. We use the phenomenon of evaporative cooling, which has already been in use and tested for centuries. So it's something that already works, and it has worked with the ZeroPot and ZECC, which you see there. Essentially, our Evaptainer modifies and modernizes these existing devices, creating low-cost, electricity-free refrigeration. What are the benefits of our device versus competitors? Well, first of all, we have a much larger storage capacity, so it makes more sense for producers to use. It's simpler to use and operate. It'd be lighter and more durable. And here's the big kicker. We're actually cheaper than the competitors of similar sizes. And the simple reason is because our device is prefabricated and it can be mass-produced. ZECCs cannot. So we already have a prototype and plan to launch a small beta test in Morocco this summer. We still need to test out the product. Why Morocco? Well, first of all, it's appealing for weather and political climate. But more importantly, we have a teammate in Morocco with a lot of connections. He used to work for the Agency of Agricultural Development, so he has a lot of exclusive connections with cooperatives there. Additionally, his father is the director of Morocco's National Research Institute for Agronomy, so we have a guaranteed testing spot for it. So we have some initial market validation for it. We went to some of the co-ops that he's worked with. 10 out of the 11 co-ops that we've talked to said that this is useful or very useful, and more importantly, most would buy it at above the $80 price point that we'd need to break even. Our team is pretty multidisciplinary. We have 2 students from Fletcher studying agriculture and development. We have 2 students from MIT studying transportation sciences and mechanical engineering. So we are Evaptainers. Our mission is to bring cold storage throughout farmers in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How close, in terms of proximity, will you have the containers to the ultimate consumers?
Okay, so our timeline is right here. We hope to do a beta test this summer, and just validate the product over next fall and next winter. We'd sort of iterate the prototype up until it's commercial ready. We hope to launch a pilot early next year in Morocco, and then launch as a formal business summer of 2015.
And are you going to be selling mainly to producer groups and cooperatives, and have you any contacts made and lined up in that space?
We want to test it initially just for the beta testing for the product. And the reason is because we want to prove that there is a definite income gain for the cooperatives. We have a lot of exclusive connections through Ismail, who's our teammate in Morocco. And it's just really, we need to test the product more before we actually go out and try to sell it.
Well, thank you. Just come visit me after your test.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let's give another hand of applause to all our finalists. As promised, next up, we have Lovegrain, who are going to give us an update of what they've been up to for the past year. All right.
Thanks very much to the conference organizing team for inviting Lovegrain back for a one-year update. It's really inspiring to hear all of this year's pitches. Lovegrain is a new kind of food company that connects Ethiopia's farmers that grow the national grain teff. It has a subtle nutty flavor and is super high in protein, but just happens to be gluten-free, to the international market for gluten-free foods, which is over $6 billion. Hi, I'm Aleem, and I'm a co-founder of Lovegrain and an MBA student here at MIT Sloan. When I used to work for the Ethiopian government on agriculture projects, I got to know some of the country's 6 million teff farmers. One of them is a woman named Tigist. Every year, she struggles to feed her family because she uses old seeds that are less productive. And then at harvest, she chooses to sell to middlemen who gouge her on price because she needs cash so badly to pay for things like school fees for her kids or medicine when they get sick. However, in the US, there's 42 million gluten-free consumers. My co-founder, Caroline, is one of them, who know that the gluten-free products in the US taste terrible. They don't taste much better than the cardboard the products come in. Moreover, they're nutritionally vapid. So Lovegrain is turning these 2 challenges into opportunities. The gluten-free market in the US has been growing over 30% year over year. Next year, American consumers will spend $6 billion on terrible gluten-free products. And the opportunity is, well, that teff can take a huge portion of this market. Based on benchmark analysis with other grains, we believe the market opportunity for teff is over $200 million annually. But there's also an opportunity to return value to Tigist. By financing seed and fertilizer for Tigist at planting, we'll be able to help her double her yields. Then by purchasing direct from her, as opposed to middlemen, we'll be able to increase her income immediately by 25%. These 2 activities together will help Tigist triple her profits. So where are we today, a year later after being at the Africa Business Conference? We've grown from an idea into a company with a market traction. It's a little bit, we think of it as a proof of concept. We launched our first product, a delicious pancake and waffle mix. We sold over 900 units with a 60% margin. We're selling primarily direct to customers, but also through a couple small independent retailers. We really believe there's a need for this product. One of our customers is an MBA student named Luke. Luke has bought 10 packages of Lovegrain every 3 weeks since we launched. So we'll build on this market traction, and we'll enter national retail channels like Whole Foods. We expect over $6 million in sales in 4 years, but we also expect to touch the lives of over 2,000 farmers in Ethiopia. In the long run, we'll produce a gluten-free facility in Ethiopia that will create over 300 jobs. So what are we going to do this summer, now that we've completed our proof of concept of the product? We'll return to Ethiopia and begin sourcing directly from the Arar Farmers Cooperative. We'll go through the permitting process, shipping, and bring the product to the US and deliver it to our customers like Luke. We're really excited about this project because it's about changing value chains into value cycles, where we capture value from the markets in the US and use it to finance agricultural activities to improve the productivity of Ethiopian farmers. I'll be around later today and love to chat with you more about Love Grain.
Thank you so much. So now we'll let the judges leave to go ahead and start deliberating. Sorry, I'm not trying to chase you away, but. All right, Dave, can we have that screen up? All right, this is the part where you get to help us choose your favorite team. So we do have the codes up there, so just go ahead and take out your smartphones or whatever phone you have, as long as you can text on it. And let's have you text away. I want to see traction. I don't see anything up on the screen yet. Let's do it. Ah, there you go. Pretty cool. I feel like this is where we need that music, right? Okay, and the number is 22333 is what you're texting to. It's way up the top. If I can, right there. I like this. Are we getting there? Everybody texted yet? Are we having trouble texting? So we're texting again to 22333, and that is the codes you're texting for your favorite team. Sorry, what? Your phone's not working? Huh? Yes. It's 1 vote per person, guys. What are we doing? But even if you try and text again, most likely you'll get a stop message. So, yes, we got ways. Okay, are we good now? Anyone still texting? Do you need to use my phone? Obi, what's going on? Okay, it seems like we have an actual winner if we're almost done. So let's give a round of applause to Disease Diagnostic Group. Woohoo! Very cool. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, the prizes will be handed out later to the first and second prize winners. Of course, now we already know who the audience favorite is. And so I guess we'll now transition to the next set.